to my channel. I am Letitia and this is That So Letitia. And let me just clear the air. No, we will not be doing makeup inspired by Mask Off by Future. I know a few of you probably saw the title of this video and was wondering, like, okay, what exactly does this mean? Well, if so, I'm glad you asked. We actually today will be doing a makeup look that is primarily focused in on the eye. Why is that? Well, for honestly, pretty much all of us collectively in the United States, push this portion of the pandemic over in the corner and we're not dealing well with it, at least from my perspective. That being having to wear these masks out in public. A lot of us, we are experiencing some phase of reopening in our areas, and we are, starting to kind of be reacclimated back into society. However, outside of social distancing, we have to, or at least we are advised to, wear these face masks. I have been back and forth outside taking care of some essential things, as well as even just getting outside, taking my kids for a walk or walking the dogs. And what I've been noticing and even overhearing is that for some of us, it's very uncomfortable, dare I say unfashionable, to wear these masks. Some people feel as though women primarily that I've heard from or overheard them talking, they're under the impression that these masks are actually taken away from their makeup, from their looks. I, for one, I'm wearing my mask. I'm sorry. I know there's naysayers. I know there are people that think otherwise. They're not necessary. They're not preventing anything. To me, it's just honestly a thin piece of fabric to wear over my face that is helping give me, as well as the people I have to come in contact with, a bit of comfort of knowing, hey, she's doing what she can do to help fight the pandemic outside of staying at home. With that being said,
yeah, get into it.
So first I'm gonna start with my Laura Mercier Pure Canvas Primer. I'm just going to put this all over the face. However, I will say that recent turn of events, and before I add my foundation, I'm just going to lightly dust a little bit of my Too Faced Born This Way multi-use complexion powder to kind of help starve off some of that oil breakthrough that I tend to get. Thanks to Jackie Ina for this tip. This tip is a lifesaver for us oily girls out there. Okay, so back to what I was saying. So in the beginning of my makeup video journey, I always, said that I was just here for the makeup, that there probably wouldn't be that much talking, just due to the fact that I'm an introvert and I did not want to, contribute to some of the tea that is out there regarding many different subjects. Well, I do have an opinion, and I decided to share that with you guys in this video as well. Just speaking of elephants in the room. So I was on Twitter recently and I saw a post by a extremely popular, I don't even call this person a beauty influencer anymore. I call them a beauty guru, beauty mogul, because it's like you're here where you're, you have your few loyal viewers, then you get there where you start getting your sponsorships, and then it's like there where you are definitely a household name and your income speaks for that. So this beauty mogul that I follow on Twitter, all of us, every last one of us, I am almost certain of it, we all follow her. She posted something. Now I'm using my Nars, and this is in Macao. I'm just gonna put 2 pumps on the back of my hand. she posted something to the effect where she was discussing pretty much the lack of a certain demographic being represented properly in the beauty community. Now, there's always going to be challenges. I feel like there's always going to be room for improvement. But when you kind of do like a Google search and you see that there are, or I'm sorry, when you do a Google search of like beauty influencers or people of color that is represented in the beauty community in regards to sponsorships, giving their opinions, and even those who have pretty much become like a household name, those who get sponsorships, you tend to see, if you don't have blinders on, that the representation is not there. It would suggest that there's really only like one or two people of color, male and female, that does makeup, that does beauty reviews. That couldn't be the farthest thing from the truth. There are thousands of us out here that support these makeup brands, that support the art and the artistry of beauty. Unfortunately, we're not represented properly. The numbers would go to show that there's not any of us out there that actually enjoy beauty, that know about makeup, and that would promote these brands. So she went on to say that she was not the only one. In the way that I took it was like, hey guys, I'm here, I laid the foundation, but there's also others out there that you guys can kind of tune into as well. And some of the comments that was in this particular thread, unfortunately, they came from people of color, people of other ethnicities outside of white people. And what they were saying were things like, oh, well, we only need one. We only need one. We only need you. I don't care if there's others out there. We only want you. Now, to say something like that is to discredit everybody else that looks like you, that could represent you. Everything from your hair type to your skin texture, to your skin concerns, your skin issues, your age demographic, your income bracket, your family makeup. All of these things tend to play a part when you, or at least they should play a part when you are looking into someone that you say you can relate to, or someone you look up to in the beauty community. I know when I do surveys, that's one of the things that they do. I'm just going to use a damp beauty sponge and just kind of pat this in for texture. So when I do like online surveys, and I used to do a ton of product focus groups, like in person, online, over the phone, they needed me to fit a certain demographic. So they would ask me things such as your income, your family makeup, all the way, honestly, even down to like my hair texture. And that was because they did not want to have a panel to represent and discuss this particular product that was only made up of one type of person. They wanted all people to kind of be represented. So I would get to some of these places and there would be like maybe 5 African American women there. And I'm like, okay, there's 5 of us here. However, participant A may have, been single, had 1 kid, was still in college, where participant D is like a full-on doctor, married, have no children, live in the suburbs. So although we may look alike in skin tone, although you may think, oh, well, if there's one Black influencer, I've seen them all. That is not so, and it takes away from the uniqueness from the individual story and experience that we can bring to this craft. However, it then becomes confusing because we get on social media platforms like Twitter and we want to call out different brands for them not being inclusive, but yet our preference, the videos that we watch, the influencers that we follow, the ones that we gravitate to, the ones that we like, share, and support their brand and their post content, they're not inclusive as well. They're very much so exclusive. It's one or two that we follow, and we wonder why it seems to be a unequal, fraction in the beauty community in terms of different things, from shades of makeup, commercials, advertisements, things like that. Like that one or two Black beauty influencers that we follow, they can't do it all. And why can't they do it all? They can't do it all because they don't represent outside of their experience. So it's like extremely important that we kind of broaden our horizon and we look to, start supporting each other in a more genuine way. That we kind of get out of that one is done, one is enough, one and done is enough, mentality. Because as long as we kind of keep those same sheltered beliefs, then there are people out there such as myself, and again, thousands of us, both beauty boys, beauty girls, mature skinned influencers, married, unmarried, children, no children, that won't be represented. And at the end of the day, I know me personally, I support all. I support the influencers of color. I support my Caucasian, influencers. However, it would be great to kind of have those few that I could say, hey, well, she's the same age as me, or he has the same skin concerns that I have. It makes that experience a little bit more personal in the way of you kind of going out and buying some of these products that these influencers are marketing to you. I go through so many videos just looking to find what it is that I'm looking for. If there's a certain skincare line that I am gravitating towards because it says it's anti-aging, I definitely cannot get that genuine feedback that I need, that genuine review, if I am looking at a young man who is 21 years old and he's the only one that is representing this brand. It's not to say that, he isn't doing his job. He's doing his job. There's a reason that these marketing teams tend to select certain influencers, but if we showcased more people from a more diverse background, then they would also have other talent that they could look to that could fit some of those slots, and they don't have to keep using the same ones. That's all I'm saying. So now that I have my base on, I am going to use my Tarte Shape Tape, and this is in shade 53S, and I'm just going to apply that to my mature under eye area. And I mean, to me, honestly, it's a little disheartening because, again, we have that one or two, or that very small handful that we constantly recycle, that we constantly recycle. It's disheartening because, like I said, not many of us even take the second that it takes to click on some of those other influencers, like, share, or subscribe to them. Like, it costs absolutely nothing, but the reward is that now we are broadening the horizon of these marketing teams as well as ourselves by letting them know that, hey, other talent out there exists. Like, what is the big issue with us supporting each other in this business? I guess is like my whole takeaway from this argument, this rant. What is the big issue with us saying, okay, that's someone that looked like me, I saw a few of their posts, they have kids, I have kids. They have in their bio that this is their preferred shade of foundation, that's my preferred shade of foundation. Maybe I can learn something from them or ask them some questions definitely if they're like an influencer that's up and coming and they don't have like a super large following, that's the perfect time to kind of get in there and talk to them, pick their brain, ask them questions about different products that they use. You know what I'm saying? It's I don't know, it's almost like we want our representation to be untouchable. We want to be able to go on these tangents about how we're not represented, but every day we tend to overlook those who could properly represent us. And honestly, it's not fair. You know, it's not fair to the ones that are out there that are spending their hard-earned money to try and bring to you as best as they can these makeup looks, these beauty routines, these skincare routines, these fashionable, you know, get ready with me videos and things of that nature. It only takes like a nanosecond to just say, oh, like, oh, subscribe. You know what I'm saying? Like, again, it works in our favor because it shows that we are being appreciated for what we do, and then it works in the favor of you as well, because the more of us that are actually elevated in this game, in this industry, the more of you that are represented. So you won't have to go to these brands pages and say, oh, well, why don't you have this shade, or why don't you have that shade? That's a good question. Why don't they have that shade? Maybe they don't have that shade because all of the influencers that actually would use that shade and promote that shade to let others out there know that that shade exists, those are the ones that you're not following. And unfortunately, those are the ones that look like you. Those are the ones that look like me. Now, there is a mogul, I'm getting beside myself. There is another beauty mogul out there. I'm going to use my Juvia's Place concealer, and this is in shade 12 now. And this particular mogul, I don't care if you don't like them, if you think they're like the, you know, the most foulest person in the world. Their followers, this particular beauty mogul, their followers, when I say they put on for each other, they put on for each other. They support each other. It is absolutely insane that not only is this beauty mogul able to, you know, kind of bring to us different reviews and services and product reviews and things from different brands, but just their presence alone, just them kind of interacting with their followers is enough that that particular support radiates back through their community. And you have some out there, and I'm a fly on the wall. I'm always on social media. You have some that they have helped each other because they all share a love of following this particular person. They may have only 5 pictures, 5 makeup looks, and they will heavily promote each other. You know, help my beauty brother, help my beauty sister, you know, surpass 500 followers. Come on, guys, we can do it. Look into their stuff. You know, they're low on their supply. Like, what can we do to help them? And next thing you know, this person that only has like 5 makeup looks now has 5,000 followers. And what does that do? That helps promote the purpose being that the beauty community should have a vast array of representation. And honestly, that is something that for whatever reason we have not caught on to yet. Now, the one that I said in the beginning, if you notice, I'm trying not to mention names. I don't want to step on anybody's toes. The one that I mentioned in the beginning, the initial beauty mogul, they do the same thing. They'll say, you know, well, check this person out, check that person out. And for whatever reason, us in the African American community, we have our one and done, And it's like, okay, yeah, I know, you know, your influence may, you know, persuade me to buy a $75 foundation, but what it can't influence me to do, which is something free of charge, is go to that black beauty boy or that black beauty girl up and coming influencers page and like and support, or even just interact with them and let them know, hey, I like that eyeshadow palette that you used. I purchased it. How did you use it? Because it didn't work for me the same. So yeah, that's my rant. That is my rant, because again, it's disheartening. I can see other ethnicities supporting each other in that way, but when it comes down to Black content creators, we don't give each other that same support, but yet we want to complain about the lack of shade ranges that some of these companies have. Well, you have the ability to influence those decisions by helping them see that there are others out there that would help represent those brands. But it's a numbers game. If the numbers aren't where they should be, if the numbers aren't where these marketing teams think, you know, would garner them talking to these influencers, then they won't. They'll keep recycling the same ones. We'll keep being stuck with some of these brands that the eyeshadow palettes look like chalk. They don't show up on our skin texture. You have to continuously build, and build. Or the foundation looks gray, looks ashy, it doesn't have proper undertone. Things of that nature, you know, just the simple things that we should be able to not have to worry about, because it's 2020 and enough of us should be represented to know that I can go and pick up my shade. I don't have to do this and do that and figure out how I'm gonna put this one together. We shouldn't have to do that. It's little things like that. Just be mindful when we want to get on Twitter and we want to kind of bitch a fit at some of these companies about us not being able to find our skin tone, or us not being able to use a product because it doesn't fit our, you know, fit our look. Be mindful that you have the ability to change that narrative, but it's the fact that many of us choose not to, because we've become comfortable and complacent in just having that one. I don't know what it is about just that one. That one is the one that laid the foundation, that created the blueprint. But it's sad when even they have to kind of go to commercial break from their everyday routines and their everyday interactions and conversations to say, hey, I'm not the only one. Look to this one, look to that one, look to them, look to, okay. So I am done with my complexion to a degree. I am now going to take a bit of setting powder, and this is in Deep Peach from Anastasia Beverly Hills, and I'm just going to apply this to a few areas. I am now going to use some Maybelline Fit Me, and this is in Deep. And that's just to set the contour that I used earlier. And we are going to let that sit. We are now going to get into our eyeshadow palette, or our eyeshadow look. Today I'm going to be working from two palettes. Both of them are by Anastasia Beverly Hills by way of Norvina. I will be using the Norvina 1 palette and the Norvina 3 palette. Is it 3? Yep. The Norvina 1 and the Norvina Volume 3 palette. And as always, I'm going to prep my eyelids first. Okay. And let me grab this. So the first shade I will be using, it is going to be from the Norvina Volume 3. I am going to be using E1, which is a very deep green shade. And then I am going to pair that up with, let's say, D3. And this time I'm actually going to start in the inner eye. I always start with the outer eye. We're going to start the inner eye this time. And the goal is to pack it for the color payoff. Again, this is makeup that for wearing the face mask. And since the eyes are like the gateway to the soul, we want our eyes to pop. If the eyes are pretty much going to be the only thing that will be noticed because we're wearing the face mask to protect ourselves, then we want to make sure that that eye stands out. We are then going to move on to our Volume 1 palette, and from there we will be using D4, which is kind of like a shimmery dark blue. Not quite royal blue, but dark blue. And we are going to pack that next to the green. Okay, so we have the second one. Now we are going to, we're going to stay in Volume 1. We are now going to add purple. So we are going to use D4, B4 from Volume 1. So we're just going to lightly place our brush in B4. And we're just going to sweep B4 across. And we're gonna try and take that into a V motion. So we're just going to add layers as we go, very thin layers. So that's what it looks like thus far. It's gonna look crazy. We're gonna take care of that momentarily. And we're gonna do the same with the other eye. And I feel like anytime like you need to, go outside, you have to wear this god-awful, unfashionable mask. You can always, even if it's just a run to the store and you're like, okay, that's too much, that's time consuming, you doing too much, you're absolutely right. I'm doing a hell of a lot right now. Like I myself typically don't even do my eyeshadow this bold. However, you have the ability to make sure that you have a little bit of pressed powder on up in this area here. Make sure that your eyebrows are neat. Throw you on a very soft glam nude look, nude eye look. Throw on you some lashes and go on about your business, go on about your life. But the whole focus of this is to say, just because I have to wear a mask and I want to be cute, or I want to wear my makeup because now I feel like my makeup is going to suffer, you can still do both. You can do both. I'm going to take my trusty, rusty MAC brush and I'm just going to kind of just marry all of these colors together. Not that much though. I don't want to take away from each individual shade. But just so that there's really no harsh lines. And everything that I did up top, I'm going to do on bottom. And this also gives us time, if we need to pack more color up top as well. Alrighty guys, and now we are going to cut a rug, aka cut a crease. I'm going to use a bit of Tarte Shape Tape. This one is a little bit lighter, but you can use whatever it is that you feel comfortable using. And because I have such a defined hooded lid, thanks to my mom, my cut crease, I almost have to always drag it up a little bit higher than normal so that the design is actually shown. And since I put so much of that, of the concealer there, what I'm going to do, because I did not forget to do them, it's just that I have a different method now for doing my brows. What I'm going to do now is tint to my brows and allow some of this Shape Tape to dry down a bit. So I am going to first use my Benefit Brow Contour Pro Pen. If there was ever a brand that needs to sponsor me, it's this one, because I promote this guy so heavily. I really, 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 really love their brow contour pen. And now I'm going to use my next micro brow pencil. It is somewhat the, I want to say, affordable or more pocket-friendly equivalent to some of the other very thin, very fine pointed eyebrow pencils that are out there. And I'm just going to use that one towards the back. And then I'm going to follow up with my latest addition to my brow routine. It is by Anastasia Beverly Hills. This is their brow gel, and I'm gonna use the shade Deep Brown, I believe it is. Dark brown, dark brown. Okay guys, and now since our Shape Tape has dried a bit, we're going to go and apply that color for our cut crease. We are going to stick with greens. We will be using from the Norvina Volume 3 palette. We are going to use A4 and a tad bit of B2. So we're just going to begin applying. I am going to use a shimmer stick by Mercier, and this one is in rose gold. I'm going to put that in the inner eye area. And I packed it on kind of thick, but you'll see why in a second. I'm going to grab a smudge brush by Morphe M321. And I'm just gonna kind of thin that out a little bit. On top of the Mercier Caviar eye stick that we just applied, we are going to go back in with the Norvina Volume 3 palette, and we're going to use C1. Okay, so I am going to apply a bit of mascara. This is by Tarte. It is their Maneater. And now I'm going to go into blush. I know you're saying, like, really? Yes, if we're gonna do a look, we're gonna do the whole look. Then we'll modify it for our mask, okay? So the blush I'm going to use is by Juvia's Place. It is the Saharan Blush Volume 1. Let me grab my blush brush. I am going to use, let's do these two here, Zane and Abby, these two here. For our lip, I'm going to begin by using a dark brown, deep brown matte lip liner by NYX. This is in code Brew. And what we are going to put on top of that is by Lime Crime. I'm going to be using their matte lip in Teddy Bear. And then what we are going to use on top, also by Lime Crime, it is their butter slash glaze. I believe this is like their CBD. Yes. So this is the Lip Blaze by Lime Crime butter and glaze, and it is infused with cannabis sativa seed oil, and it is in the shade Apple or Apple. I'm just going to apply a tad bit of that on top. I'm going to spritz with Urban Decay's De-Slick All Nighter 16-hour long wear setting spray. And the lashes I will be using for this look, they are by Lilly Lashes. I am going to get those guys ready and then we'll be back. Yes, guys, get into it. This is the look. I am pleasantly surprised. I don't do looks this drastic on my eye area. If truth be told, I used to be pretty much a foundation, lip gloss, and mascara girl. So definitely eyeshadow was not my bag a while back. I do really like it. It's very bold, it's very dramatic, and that is what I was going for, especially if you have to kind of get rid of this, and from the bridge of the nose up is all that is being seen. You want to stand out. You still want to be able to make that statement. So this is it for now. I am going to bid you guys farewell. If you like this look, please give me a thumbs up. If you have not yet subscribed, remember our conversation from earlier. You definitely have time to subscribe, support your girl now. I know you're like, okay, wait, where is the mask? Glad you asked. Stick around. Part 2 of this whole mask off is coming up shortly. Until then, you guys have a great one. Be well, take care, and I will see you soon for part 2. Bye.